Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. I am your host, Ben, and with me, as always, are my co hosts.
I'm Mike.
And it's me, Matt.
Rick is on vacation this week, so it is just the three of us coming at you guys today. We are covering some interesting stuff, but before we, really jump into it, who's got a heated gaming moment? It was a particularly busy couple week or two. So, what do we got?
I can tell you personally that my heated gaming moment was going to be from earlier in the week, and then now it's going to be from an hour ago, roughly.
Nice. Putting in real gamer hours.
Oh yeah. I was super unsatisfied last night when I went to bed because I couldn't finish it. I've been playing Sifu for the listeners. Kung Fu, avenging my father's death or my master. One or the other.
Both. I'm pretty sure it's both.
Yeah. Either way. And I got to the last level and I made my way through last night. And I told Ben, I'm going to try to distract myself. I'm not trying to play Forbidden West right now because Elden Ring comes out next Friday. And I have to pick favorite children. And they're being very cruel to me. Would have been so much better.
It's always hard.
Would have been so much better if Elden Ring released in January like it was supposed to. Because then I would have had a full month to enjoy the game, be able to beat it, and then do Forbidden West and be able to go back, but can't do that. So I last night, got to the final boss, got the shortcut, so I'd unlock the straight path right to him. Got my ass kicked. I think I died 4 times in a row without even getting any real damage to his posture bar, just because he has so many combos and he throws them out there so casually. It's very annoying at points.
What's your youngest age that you got to the final boss?
I got to him at 57 and I beat him at 68.
Sick.
And I'm going back now. I just actually beat the first level deathless completely. So I did a perfect run of the first level. Super cool. Because I was just Neo seeing the fucking Matrix after I beat him this morning. It all fell into place. The combat all just finally made sense. It's I was relying too much on parrying. You need to dodge in place more because when you dodge in place, it throws them off balance, and then you hit them and it just destroys their posture, and it's way better.
That's the ducking mechanic stuff. Yep. Oh, I'm so bad at that. I am so bad at that.
That was the thing for me.
So mad.
Last night, I finally, when I fought him 10 or 12 times last night and lost over and over again, was getting more and more frustrated, death after death. I did eventually get to the point where I could deathless his first phase because his first phase started to make sense what his combos were. There's some actually really cool moments where it's just him throwing a flurry of blows and you just flurry deflect. And it's super cinematic, and then you get the final parry, and you punch him in the chest. He stumbles backwards. Sick. It's one of those. It's a really Matrix type moment. But then the second phase comes around, and he is just throwing these unblockable attacks that you can't parry. And my over reliance on parrying was being the death of me, because he was just destroying my posture, destroying my health, killing me quickly. He has so many combos that can just chunk your health bar away when you're over 60 years old. You get hit by one of them and you're dead. It's super cool.
Yeah, you're just a little old man. What do you expect?
I feel when you get to the older ages, you should get Jackie Chan's drunk uncle powers, and you can just
as you get older, you get stronger. Each 10 years older, you get more strength.
More strength, but your health bar goes down.
Yeah. And that makes sense in the nature of, how Kung Fu been portrayed to us in movies. The old master, always wise beyond his years, is able to take down the youthful
dad strength
through the fundamentals, conservation of, and, efficiency of energy transference. Yeah.
Exactly.
Dad strength.
Master Roshi and shit.
So I have not gotten to the later levels yet, but the clear inspiration, obviously, for the game is every popular, martial arts film, and it really captures those cinematic moments. Any standouts from the later levels?
There's a moment, 4th level, the tower, when you get to the basement area, which is this gigantic cavern. It's crazy. and you have this choice to just go through the pathway, or like the path just kind you're following is a cliff face and it just kind of ends. And if you walk over and look down, it's just, it goes down. And if you just jump, you just fall all the way straight down into the boss room, skipping the entire basement area.
Lose any health?
I mean, no, you don't lose any health because it's like a cinematic, but you get the superhero landing down into the boss
The superhero
room.
landing, yeah.
And there's an achievement for it. It's called like High Diver or something like that. It's like skip the basement and just go straight to the boss. It's that Neo landing about to face an agent or something like that.
So, but what aspect of the game has gotten you the most heated through the course of your playthrough?
It was probably just the fact that, especially the final boss, he just fucking mocks you the whole time that he's kicking your ass. He's like, you trained for 8 years and this is the best you can do. He'll just like stop fighting and he'll just like stand there and cross his arms and he's like, just fight better. Like, you're not doing well. He just insults the shit out of you the whole time.
He's a 12-year-old telling you to get good.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just shit talking you as he's just destroying you with these
the disrespect.
And I mean, the best part is he's just a fist fighter. There's no gimmick to his weapon. There's no he doesn't disappear into the forest and come out and slice you. He doesn't wield a gigantic pole. He's just a fist fighter, just like you. And a lot of the moves he uses are your moves, and kind of sucks when he throws them back in your face and does it better. It tells you suck.
But speaking of blatant disrespect, we got to move to my heated gaming moment of the week. I kind of went off. I popped off, went a little bit nutty with it in the group chat when we heard the news from Larian Studios about their announcement that they will continue to hold Baldur's Gate 3 in early access for at least another year. So listeners of the show will know by now that that we've been playing through another Larian Studios property, Divinity Original Sin 2. We've been really enjoying it.
That's my heated gaming moment because Rick had to go on vacation and I didn't get my fix last night.
We didn't get our play, yeah. So we'll be playing on Monday, but to make up for lost time. But we've been enjoying it so much, and it's just been getting me more and more excited about Baldur's Gate. And it's been in early access since like October 2020 at this point, and they're saying don't expect it until 2023. We've got at least a year of development left, and it's like at that point we're looking at almost 3 years in early access.
I will say that the only positive is like the time old statement, a delayed game can still be a good game, but a rushed game is always bad.
Right. My point is not that I'm pissed that they're delaying it. I'm just pissed that it's of how they rolled out the early access. The early access should have been coming out now. I remember when they were announcing what became the original early access launch in 2020. I swear to God, every piece of marketing about it completely overlooked.
Well, that was the first time you talked to me about building a gaming PC, because you're like, I want to build a gaming PC so I can play Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, it's like they made a huge deal about it. It's the most recent actual adaptation of Dungeons and Dragons in a CRPG. So Wizards of the Coast and D&D made a huge deal about it, at their their yearly celebrations. That's what they call it. And they've got big events and all, and they had this big reveal for their the cinematic trailer and everything, and it's coming out in just a couple months. And then when it rolls out, it's you get to play the first chapter, and now it's been the first chapter for over 2 years, or essentially 2 years. Hell, the patch that they put out with this announcement it's they're still just introducing classes. They're introducing a staple 5th edition class, the barbarian class, and it's taken them that fucking long. It's just it should not have been put out in that state, in my opinion. And it gets to this larger trend that I want to talk about, at least for some part of the show. this is the trend in game release marketing. You know, it's announce as early as possible. You know, can never be seen to be, you know, you can't be caught slipping. You can't be silent at any
You got to
time.
be
You always
showing
have
off
to
your
be
new IP, and showing people that you're making moves. You got to stay relevant.
And then they hype these games for so fucking long, and it's just across the industry, right? And it's just, I know it's something that we like complain about a lot, and it's we're never advocating for studios to, you know, adopt policies like crunch and, you know, unpaid overtime and all that kind of shit to you know, meet these deadlines. But you can't help that they you know, that it's the management, that it's the executive level that's, you know, bringing this shit on themselves, because
Just don't talk about it before it's ready to be talked about. That's really the only
right. They announced a game, you know, they announced a game 5 years you know, ahead of time, which we all know these games take a long fucking time to make. You know, they take you know, it's by far the most time intensive bit of popular media.
Let's look at the fact that Nintendo announced that they were making Metroid Prime 4 in 2017. It is 2022, and we have not seen a single scrap of footage of that game, and it has been restarted once at the very least, maybe twice.
Well, and I think
the way Nintendo does things, sorry, it's just the way Nintendo does things is something I will want to get to, but because I think they are an interesting look at like when comparing to the rest of the industry. But go ahead, Mike. What were you going to say?
I think part of it is, you know, like I said, they're get out new IP, new being in quotes, just like a new version of their IP, whatever it may be. And
new IP, you know,
can
be scary.
Yeah, but for certain studios, I think, you know, they, as soon as they have the idea that they're making a game, or like they've put it in their budget that they're making a game, it's kind of,
as soon as the algorithm has greenlit the project.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as the algorithm has told the executives what they need to do behind like the council of darkness in like the deucing room, and you know, so the algorithm tells them, okay, it's okay to do this now. And, you know, we got Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. So, you know, maybe, well, if people are waiting for 3 years, we're going to stoke up the sales on those games, because people want to play this IP, want to play this content. And, you know, we're just like withholding from them. So it boosts those sales. And, you know, I mean, that's anecdotal, but I'm sure that you could find evidence of across the industry of, you know, older IP. I'm sure with Horizon Forbidden West, you know, Ben, you're a prime example. Like, you bought Zero Dawn in anticipation of Forbidden West, you know, right. And maybe you wouldn't have had there not been the delay, or maybe, you know, you would have played it after, something like that. But, you know, it's just a way of stoking up the consumer base to keep spending more IP as they wait, more money on IP as they wait for the newest version.
Well, they've also learned from a little known game called PUBG that people will pay to sit in early release hell for a game forever. And like,
again,
if you can
the
release
consumers
a game
are little
early
piggies and they get what they deserve.
That's golden. Like, that's the
right. I guess, like, yeah, why wouldn't they?
And it's free QA testing, you know?
It's the best group of testing monkeys you're ever going to get, because the general public are the people who are going to find the weird glitch where you pass through,
and
they're
just relentless or ruthless in their reviews. But, you know, and I know we're not going to focus on it much in this episode, but just with the Activision, you know, they're moving to embed their QA testers with the developers, but you know, and they've been laying off QA testers, and it wouldn't be a surprise to me if QA testers like go by the wayside completely, and it's all just
trying to crowdsource.
It's all crowdsourced quality assurance testing, because it's free. It's free, you know, it's free. You get tons of.
Not only is it free, but you get they pay to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
They literally pay to do the work for you.
Yeah, and like Matt said, they're gonna find the weirdest glitches, and you know, I'm not saying that the quality assurance testers in studio are doing a bad job. It's just like they're doing their job within their, you know, 40-hour, maybe 80-hour crunch work week, while you have millions of people, or, you know, thousands of people spending thousands of hours, you know, in game, just, you know,
the pure number disparity is in the favor of the public. You
Exactly.
can simply dedicate more hours to it in aggregate for sure. But like it's definitely, I think, the case that these policies absolutely contribute to things like crunch. And it's a kind of a cyclical pattern, right? It's like they hype a game for so long, it creates fan backlash on why the fuck are you taking so long, why is nothing happening, that then, oh, they got a crunch, that then creates a shittier game. Not to mention, all the harm it does to employees, but then leads to a shitty game, which leads to more backlash and leads to more shittier projects. It's just they need to, okay, we gotta distract them from our shitty Battlefield launch, so we gotta like talk about the next big game we're putting out. Like, no, don't think about that one.
Well, and then imagine
our Battlefield launch wasn't our fault, it was Halo's fault. It's not our fault. They made a better game.
Well, and imagine being the worker, whether it's a developer or a QA tester, and like, I can't imagine trying to like manage your time of these different games that like have all these changing deadlines. It must just be madness, and constantly adding new games on, or like having to go back and change things. I wouldn't be happy.
All right, so you already mentioned Horizon Forbidden West, and it's definitely something ahead of launch that has gotten a lot of people in the community heated, is the whole marketing fiasco with its pricing. And again, I think it ties into this topic, is the fact that it had to be delayed created all this kind of uncertainty around its pricing. Because to break it down fully, it was in its original launch window, Horizon Forbidden West was part of the group of games that fell into the PS5 launch window, which were all would all be cross generational games available for PS4 as well as PS5, but then allowing for purchase of the PS4 version for a free PS5 upgrade. However, when it eventually had to be pushed, because again, they started the marketing process way too early, Sony was like, oh, it's no longer within the PS5 launch window that we, agreed upon. So it is no longer valid for said reduction in price, because all PS5 games are now just fucking $70.
Which is crazy to me.
It's absurd. So then, of course, that pissed off so many people. And they're like, okay, sorry, we take it back. Sony is like, we'll still let you, do the deal. You can get the PS4 version and do the free upgrade. However, they then made it as difficult as possible to follow through with that. Like, all sorts of problems with trying to find the correct version on your on the PS marketplace. These are for digital releases. Like things with, like, if you bought a PS4 disc version and got the PS5 upgrade, you would constantly need to use the PS4 disc, and there were some technical problems with that. That one is a little bit beyond my knowledge.
That's a weird one to me, because if you have the PS5 disc, you still have to have the disc in the whole time.
You still have to put the disc, right?
Like
it's like, I mean, I know I saw that as a thing, but like,
little on the
they're just saying, like, why can't
arguing semantics?
Why can't I just get the digital? Since it's a digital upgrade, why can't I just get the full digital game for
it's
that
just because
cost?
the disc is the license authentication, is how they use the disc for that.
Right. And it's I mean, I totally, again, I'm on the side of the consumer and the whole bit
absolutely.
that, so
I'm just
purposely making it as difficult as possible. But yeah, no, I don't. That one was weird to me. But
also
there was then,
well, their in-store promotional materials, like in the displays that they had in stores, were all displaying the PS5 version very prominently, and then like the PS4 was like on the bottom or whatever.
Well, and I mean, the only price tag they had like visible anywhere, both in physical and digital marketing, was basically the $70 price. It was
the funniest thing I've seen about this was Best Buy, I guess, had a little snafu on launch where they sent some people who got the special editions, the PS4 special edition instead of the PS5, and vice versa.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's not good.
So that's funny, because like anyone who has the PS5, it doesn't matter that you can. You can just put the disc in and it'll play. But if you had a PS4 and you bought the PS4 special edition and then you got a PS5 disc, imagine looking at that and just be like, oh, cool. Can't play now.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, maybe I can put this on my shelf, and when the console gods, finally deem me worthy to get a PS5, maybe you can play it then. But then there was also the whole bit about like if you did it and if you went through the whole rigmarole of being able to actually try to find where the price was actually $60, it was, people were then, I think, still rightfully complaining that in that case, if unless you paid the full version, you couldn't preload the game for digital. You had to wait till launch to download it. I mean, I think it's a valid complaint. Like, it depends on, people's
I guess
schedules.
I shrug because my internet's so good. So like I have that.
It's like quote unquote professionals like us, it's like, it's good for us to, get the game as soon as we can. And, that those, people who have real lives, can only get their, their hobbying hours in at a certain time. And, that is not insignificant, in my opinion.
I think it's more for the people whose internet is as good and their downloads would take significantly longer.
Right.
There were people, I don't remember what game it was that was launching. It wasn't Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is always like 180 gigabytes because they don't want you to have other games. It was like maybe it was God of War PC. Was that like 50 gigabytes or something like that? 48 gigs?
Yeah, that might be.
That sounds about right. They were complaining that it was going to take their internet like 37 hours to download it or something like that. And I was doing the math on that. I was like, man, holy shit. You need Starlink, TM. Thanks, Elon.
I think for me, the funniest part of this whole fiasco was Richard Hogue of Hogue Law, who's like a video game attorney and content creator, just going ham on Sony in his tweets. And all these like different gaming journalists just writing these articles about him and just like slamming him. Meanwhile, they don't understand like anything going on behind the scenes of like how this is like a bad consumer practice. There's potential for like class action litigation, because it's false marketing, things like that. And my favorite like tweet reply that I saw was like, it's not good when lawyers are doing better game journalism than the journalists, because this was something that they weren't even picking up, the journalists, and weren't even really upset about, and even critiquing Hogue were kind of like, almost as if it was a non-issue and like, suck it up. Like, Sony's going to do what Sony's going to do, and all the Sony ponies in the comments on these articles, just like ripping on this lawyer who like actually knows how the licensing works, the law behind like false advertising and things like that, and how it could affect the corporation, how it's going to affect the consumer. And it's just like, my favorite was, this was Microsoft's fault because they put Sony in a position where Sony has to make more revenue in order to keep up, because otherwise Microsoft is going to put Sony out of business in 5 years. And I was just sitting there like cackling, because it's just absolutely ridiculous that someone would say Sony is going to go by the wayside because of Microsoft. I think that's even with the consolidation we've seen, that's kind of a far-fetched idea.
I think the idea that it would happen in 5 years is the funniest part about that, when you look at their market shares currently.
Yeah, where Microsoft has the lower market share.
All right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about, it's still within this this trend of how games are announced, and the process of pre-announcing things years and years in advance. The one I want to talk about right off the bat is our perennial foe, Activision Blizzard, revealed in a blog post a survival game that they are called unannounced. In the announcement post, they're saying it remains an unannounced game, and I just like literally my brain like just kind of froze for a minute as I tried to parse that out, and it was just ridiculous. But so it speaks to this new trend. Just one second, that we rather rather than having the big hubbub and like we like got to stop the clocks, we've got to get everybody into things like your Nintendo Direct or like your PlayStation State of Play and all that kind of stuff, rather than having these kind of big announcements and spending a lot of money on marketing and doing all that. They're still, doing the shit with, this is years and years in advance. Like we're announcing an unannounced game. That's just, the most comical one. But like they're doing it now in the most casual, like backhanded way. Like these blog posts being like the main contender. Hell, like Grand Theft Auto 6 was announced officially, not even through a blog post, but through a reply to a blog post.
Fantastic. It's a Substack nation, baby.
I don't get it. I
mean, the unannounced announcements is just like the shitty evolution of the untitling announcements when games launch with like a trailer, but like we don't know the name yet. It'll be like Project Triangle Strategy, 8 Paths, maybe.
Like, oh shit, that's actually, so we just get stuck. That's actually the name.
I know, but like that's like Untitled Goose Game.
So that one was at least meme worthy.
Oh yeah, no, that's a fun meme, but it's just a shitty evolution on the title launch. It's like, oh, this isn't even a launch. This is just like, hey, maybe.
I at first thought it was a typo, untitled, unannounced, because just like, how are you, how are you like a Harvard graduate with a communications degree writing these blog posts for, a giant corporation and like saying things like we're announcing an unannounced game, like
right.
It's just like, what is our education system? What the fuck are corporations doing? Like, what's going on?
They think they're doing 12th dimensional chess, but they're just being idiots. But it's like, here's another one. Like Respawn Entertainment announced this is like, last month, like 3 new Star Wars games, including the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, in a fucking tweet with no details about any of them.
Hey, we're working on these by.
Hey, they gave some details. It's a sequel, we know that much.
Yeah, but a game sequel could be a prequel. Like,
true. But it's like, hey, go speculate about this for a while and like, then get mad at us
when we don't match your perfect expectations.
Exactly.
Something I want to.
Oh my god.
Something I want to get better at tracking is like when these announcements come out, especially for the one like the Respawn Entertainment announcement for Fallen Order sequel, like across all the platforms where you could buy the game, I want to look at the prices. Are they like, is it corresponding to a sale so that they think or hope that people go buy Fallen Order that haven't because they're juiced up that it's gonna get a sequel?
I mean, you can get Fallen Order on any of the Steam sales for like fucking $15.
No, I know that on Steam it has, that one in particular has had a lot of sales recently, and that's kind of what triggered this thought. But so that one might be a little bit harder to do. But like any of these games, like when Baldur's Gate 3, gets a firm date, will Baldur's Gate 2 go down in price because they're trying to, juice up the sales?
Or will they take it off the store completely to make you angry?
Or no, like that's, you're like memeing.
Both possible.
Yeah, you're memeing.
I was going to say,
like,
never
totally
rule out the evil option.
Yeah, no, it's totally possible because they want everyone to buy the full price Baldur's Gate 3. Like, I could totally see that. So I think it's just
like we take them away. So we like you guys you're addicts. You need your fix, and like the more we can like force
that's what
force
the GTA
withdrawal
trilogy
symptoms
did.
Onto you. Then
they rolled it back, but they did it initially. They're like, no more original GTA 1, 2, and 3, and everyone was like, why would you do that? They were better.
Yeah, like, now you got to play our dog shit version.
And that one's even more interesting because it's the remaster. So like, that I think has a slightly different analysis, but very similar. But like with these new games coming out, or just like the announcement of the sequels, like how much are they trying to just drive up the sales of older IP, whether it's, putting it on sale to correspond with that so people are more likely to buy it, et cetera. It's just, I think, something interesting to kind of look out for. If you're listening, Activision, please don't do that. If you aren't doing these things already, please don't steal.
Actually, no. If you're doing that, credit me, give me a cut.
Oh, yeah, fair. Either way works.
Say Bobby Kotick just got fucking rock hard at the thought. It's like, oh my god, how could I be
devil
more
horns
evil and
grew a
make
little
more
bit.
money? Yeah, Matt, I'm pretty sure you brought it up beforehand. Comparatively to the majority of the industry, Nintendo does seem to kind of largely buck this trend of how they announce their games.
I just brought up Metroid Prime 4 because it's funny.
No, but it's a good example. It is a good example, and like we get it. We just had another Nintendo Direct. I mean, they are. It's not like they're not constantly putting those things out and constantly promoting their games, but it's how they do it. The games that they announce at any Direct are basically not shown until they're essentially ready for release. We'll go through the things that I want to do a breakdown of this Direct. It was a good one, I think. But
it was.
With maybe the exception of some like some of the larger like tentpole games, like the one that really comes to mind is the Breath of the Wild 2, whatever. They are constantly putting stuff out, but it's even that is very measured, and they don't actually put like expected by this date and whatever.
I actually thought about it, and I think the reason it wasn't shown in this Direct is they're saving that for the summer Direct for the holiday November launch.
Right. Yeah, I think so too.
Right, but most other things, it's like you don't fucking hear about them at all. That Nintendo's doing anything about it at all until it's like, oh, we've got this announcement that like Star Wars
KOTOR.
What's the game? Not even the KOTOR remake, the Force Unleashed game that's being ported over.
That's coming out.
Yeah, it's like you never heard about this, like that we were doing this, but here it's coming out in the summer. Like it's like 2 months away, and that's what we get basically with everything. And I mean, maybe that is a reason in and of itself, is a lot of these things are like ports of old games moving
that Direct was definitely targeted around showing off what was coming out for the Switch in the next like 6 months. It was definitely getting people who bought the Switch OLED, who got a Switch for Christmas, like, hey, look at what you're going to be getting in the next couple months. Like, keep following the line. We'll get you the
save your money.
I definitely think that is a more effective way to do it, though, because again, it's like you're not building up people's expectations to a degree where they can only be disappointed. Whereas now it's just like, holy shit, look at all these cool shiny things.
I was going to say, I actually think their pacing is pretty good on their launch windows too, because they give you the time to play each game, so that you're never you're not getting Wii Sports and Mario Strikers in the same month.
Even think of their Pokemon releases. Like, you had like 3 months to play Brilliant Diamond and Pearl before Arceus came out, and that's more than enough time to beat Diamond and Pearl and then move on to the next game.
I had a theory that Arceus was supposed to be a holiday launch and it had to get pushed, and that's why Diamond and Pearl got moved up and moved into the holiday launch, because they could do it quicker.
Arceus was still an unfinished game, so I believe it.
Yeah, Pokemon Minecraft.
Yeah, but you're already getting us right into it, Matt, and I'm ready to go. I am so fucking hyped for Nintendo Switch Sports.
Absolutely.
You have no idea. I'm sad that Rick isn't here, because he and I were Wii Sports table goats back in the day. Like, nobody could step to us and have any hopes of coming out alive. I am so fucking excited. This is going to do.
I know I was goated on
numbers
archery.
for them.
I was the archery champion.
I was looking through it yesterday, so that I was trying to remember, okay, what were the other sports primarily from Nintendo Wii Resorts?
Yeah.
Like which ones came from that? And archery was definitely the top.
Yeah.
The top one from that one. The ones that we're missing out on from the original sports, like it's like there's like boxing.
Boxing. They said they're going to be adding. They're going to keep adding sports to it. And Nintendo generally supports their games after launch.
Yeah, golf was the other one, but that is one in the Direct. They said like it'll come out in a few months after they're doing golf, which was also another goated one.
Because golf was the one my dad loved on the Wii. That was his escape.
No, it was a good
one game,
but it was a good one. It was definitely really good. I enjoyed Wii golf a lot, but tennis is the absolute pinnacle.
I'm excited for volleyball.
Co-op experience. Volleyball looks sick. but I'm probably like, because I know I'm gonna love tennis. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
that that's good, that like that's a thing. But oh man, I am so excited for badminton. I am so fucking psyched for badminton. Oh man, I'm gonna go so hard. If I like, I mean, it's probably gonna happen that I'm gonna get so excited I'm gonna break my TV.
Oh yeah, everyone remember, wear your
What do
wrist
you?
straps.
Yeah. What do you guys think about if you get the physical
The leg
version? It
strap.
comes with the leg
Yo,
strap that you can use
yo,
for
that's
soccer?
You can use for
Absolutely,
soccer.
that looks sick.
Yeah, no, I was pretty excited about that. That's cool.
Like, knowing Nintendo, that accessory is going to get used for so much shit.
There are going to be so many pulled hammies.
I wonder what lawsuits
It's
come
going
out
to
of
be
it.
an epidemic.
Imagine they hook that up with like some sort of the addition to the Wii Fit game, or the Switch Fit, like the trainer with the ring thing.
Yeah.
Add to that like functionality, you never know.
What's funny to me with with Wii Sports in particular, adding the like leg strap and you know all these types of games Nintendo puts out, is like, this is their step into VR without like, or like the metaverse. And I think it's like a good first step, and it's like where we are in terms of the metaverse, like practically, like this is something that we could do, and it'll be fun. And it's like, you can't be touching people inappropriately in the metaverse, or like getting into people's space, not selling NFTs. It's like, I think an actual progression of like where we were going with this type of technology that some of the American companies and like social media platforms have just been trying to jump over. And it's something that, you know, we had with starting with the Wii, and kind of Nintendo is perfecting. And it's like a good mix between what like Facebook wants the metaverse to be, and like VR, and like what humans are capable of handling.
What Facebook wants the metaverse to be won't be possible until everyone has an omnidirectional treadmill in their house.
Treadmill, yeah.
For like full walking.
Just because you bring it up here, other news of the week is Nintendo did say that they are not interested in getting involved with the metaverse yet.
Dun, dun,
They said we might consider something if we can find a way to convey a Nintendo approach to the metaverse that many people can readily understand, but we do not think that this is the situation at the present time.
That's an extremely Nintendo response.
Yes, but that's a digression. But still, it was worth bringing up.
Yeah, so there was Switch Sports.
Switch Sports. Oh man, that definitely eclipsed everything else for me. Yeah. Like, I was enjoying myself watching through the direct, but then Nintendo Switch Sports, I'm just like, I'm hooting and hollering like at my computer, just just let's fucking go, like so excited. Like,
I
just
was brought back
Rick
immediately to 2008. I was watching Jersey Shore. I was fist pumping.
Hell yeah, man! I'm so excited for that.
One we forgot to talk about though, that I'm very excited for, is the Kirby Cussy.
Okay.
Yeah, man. What's that?
We shall not refer to him as that.
Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Where
his name will be Carby.
Carby? No, it's Carusi. Cabursi.
Kerbussy, yeah.
You could be a cone, you turn into a car. He's got that guac. He's fucking eating everything up.
I mean,
I was excited for that.
You're making some jokes, but it did actually look pretty like decent for what they showed off. Like
I agree.
It's definitely a
3D Kirby game for once.
People
of everything they've shown for it so far, it looks like actually showed the most meat. Like everything else that they've shown before, I was like, oh wow, that looks really empty.
Yeah.
The environment sure looks cool, but everything else looks empty. But no, they showed some good stuff.
People were
cool platforming.
People were like comparing it to Mario Odyssey, especially with the mechanic of like eating the different objects.
It's 100% got Cappy all over the idea of taking over the inanimate objects, like.
And so people were excited for it because of that, because Mario Odyssey was such a great game.
It looked like a good 3D Kirby. We haven't had one of those in a while. Yeah. I guarantee you that we'll get for March prediction time. I bet you March they're going to give us the N64 Kirby 64 game on the expansion pack.
That'd be cool.
Oh, on the online.
Yeah, that's my prediction as build up for the launch, because that's March 25th, right? Yeah, Kirby.
Mm-hmm. A similar sport game also been mentioned already, but the Mario Strikers Battle League,
Very excited.
that looks fun to me. I mean, I never played the last one
originals.
was GameCube, right? It was GameCube, right? Was
Yeah,
there one on the
there was
Wii?
some on GameCube. There was one on Wii. I think Wii was the
I don't
last
remember
one.
the one on the Wii. Right. But you know, I describe it as it looks like a Mario universe version of Games Workshop's Blood Bowl, which is just, you know, football, but you kill each other.
Okay, cool.
And you know, this it just gave me those vibes. You know, it's extremely silly and
silly, over the top,
and farcical
anime powers.
Yeah, no, it looks great though.
I forget the name of it. Might be Calcio Historico, and it's Florence's version of soccer. And it's same shit. It's just bloodbath soccer that they play in sand, so the sand absorbs the blood, and it just goes on for days.
Hilarious.
And you know, it's fitting with Mario that he'd be playing an Italian game.
I just
I'm
can't
excited-
wait
I'm
to
excited
like
for that
kick
one.
someone in the face as Yoshi.
I like the. I'm just imagining. So, like, if they actually looked like they were embracing Donkey Kong's villainous
Villainous
nice.
brutes.
history in the trailer. Yeah, he was teaming up with Bowser.
Is
fucking
Birdo
shit
in
up.
this?
Probably.
That's the important question.
Hey, we all know if she is, she needs to be nerfed immediately.
Nerf Birdo.
That nose is too powerful. But yeah, but then I mean, there was a whole bunch of other stuff that was released. We
Got a Fire
Some other
Emblem
ones that,
Fire Emblem Warriors game.
Yep, the Fire Emblem Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
It's weird because I don't like the whole trend of making these like spin-off games actually have like canon stories, which is what they've been doing with these spin-off Warriors or the Muso games recently. Like Persona 5 Strikers is
Or like the Hyrule Warriors.
or
one.
Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity in particular, because the original Hyrule
Yeah.
Warriors wasn't connected in the sense of like it had Zelda characters in it, but there was no story there really. But Age of Calamity really ties in with Breath of the Wild. Now they're doing that again with Three Hopes. It's just kind of like, I guess those games just don't really mesh with me. So that's what kind of annoys me about it, is that they're putting story for these games that I enjoy in these games that I don't really enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I mean, I like I always enjoy like I'd say the two types of genres that I like or at least combat types that I like the most. I love strategic turn-based combat, and then I really like, you know, action adventure stuff. So, you know, the Three Houses, the turn-based strategy, and this definitely has the more action oriented stuff.
It's a hack and slash
that I do like as well, but like something about the mob aesthetic to those games.
It's just you fight 1,000 enemies.
Like.
That's the whole like gimmick of these games, and it
just looks weird to
makes
me.
all the powers feel weird because like what should be fighting one person is fighting like 50, and it just weird scaling.
You see 1,000 guys getting smushed into a ball.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, doing ragdoll physics, you know, together. It's just like, I don't know. It breaks my immersion a little bit.
It's
one
of those like
I still need to finish.
No ill will to anyone who likes those games. Like all the power to you.
Right.
Like,
never.
Like I'm happy you got a game that you enjoy. I'm just a little upset. I wish that we would keep these spin-off games story free so that I don't have to either miss out on the content or, you know, suffer through the content in a way. Like slog through in a way it doesn't deserve.
So any others that stuck out to you guys? Any other games that like that's got you excited or skeptical or whatever? Anything
there were a couple of like
really
the smaller JRPG remasters that they were doing, like Live a Live is what they were calling
it. Live Alive.
Live Alive. I think
Isn't it Live Alive?
I think technically it's Live a Live, but yeah, because of the like weird Japanese translation bullshit. That JRPG looks super cool to me. It looks like the predecessor to Octopath, which is I really like the idea of all the different stories that you can play through throughout history. That seems cool.
That one's the first 2D HD game that's piqued my interest.
Have you looked at Octopath?
I have not. The only other current one that's on my radar is Triangle Strategy, which was also
strategy
announced.
But
right.
That's if you ever want to try. There's a free demo on Switch eShop. I think it's also free demo on Steam. But I also have the physical copy on Switch if you want to just borrow that to try it out. But the next one would be Chrono Cross, the Chrono Cross remaster with the text-based adventure that they
the origins of the Chrono Cross thing. Yeah, that has got me excited too, purely for the to be able to experience the text-based
absolutely
thing. Is just something that, like, we're basically too young to have really been a part of. Yeah. No, it makes like the pen and paper fan in me like very interested.
Then my final one that I would add in there would be Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And that's just because, I've played the other two. You're giving me a third one that ties the other two together. Easter eggs all over.
I forget, are these the games that you said is your number one waifu simulator, as waifu collection simulator games?
That is the second one, yes.
Okay. They're
not
sure.
all waifus. There are males that you also collect. They're also husbands.
Sure. Husband, yeah. Okay.
What got me upset about that game was, we talked about earlier Pokemon Legends Arceus being unfinished.
Looking at the Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo was like, oh, the limitations of the Switch. Meanwhile, you have
the Switch,
you have Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which looks fucking amazing, the environment. And then, Legends Arceus, you could see the tiles that they copied and pasted for, all the individual environments.
Monolith Soft has had their hands on all of the good-looking Switch games, essentially. Mm-hmm. They, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2, Breath of the Wild, they did environment design help with Nintendo. And I believe they also worked on Astral Chain with Platinum Games to also help with the world design there. And pretty much any game that Monolith Soft helps out on ends up just being like gorgeous on the Switch in a way that other games just don't really get to match. They definitely have the code right to get the most out of the Switch.
I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, what they showed of it looked fantastic. So hopefully,
imagine Game Freak watching that trailer and not seeing like characters pop in from distance and be like, wait, what? What do you mean you can render from distance?
All right, but so the announcement that probably got the most people pissed off, the one thing that, like, people probably didn't like was the big prediction for this direct was, they're going to announce Mario Kart 9. They're going to announce the new Mario Kart. And Nintendo said, fuck you, how about a paid DLC instead?
Hold on, but see, I have a hot take on this.
I actually think it's better.
Go for it.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. I think it's better. Like, there's nothing wrong with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe mechanics wise. Like, how much can you add to it? Like, they've gotten it down, like the racing game down really well. So all you could really add are different tracks, and I don't want them to
48 of them, which is a lot.
Yeah, they're adding tons of tracks. That's so much, like more than I would expect them to release in Mario Kart 9, and it's more than they released in the new Mario Party, where they gave us fucking 5 places,
5 boards
to play on.
And what's it, $24? $24 for 48
for the full thing, yeah.
And it's also
or you could just do
Switch expansion patch.
Yeah, you could just do what the Comrades here have done and get a bunch of friends and do a family pass.
Yeah,
because we're a family here in the podcast.
We paid $20 each for a year, and we got the whole so we got it for cheaper.
Cheaper than.
And even if we didn't have that, sure. $24 for all those new maps.
The one thing is that they are
they're releasing them in wave.
It's wave release, not
still. I think that's even better.
That's probably just to keep people playing as they go. Yeah. That you don't just drop them all one day. People play for like 2 weekends where they just don't stop.
No, and like I said, how are they going to improve much more on like the racing aspect of that game or like the character design. They're not gonna like change anything like that.
If I see Mario Kart
drastically.
9, Mario Kart 9 needs to functionally do something different than Mario Kart 8.
Exactly.
It needs to do something
I don't know
that improves on.
Say that Disney racing game looks pretty innovative to me.
I love me
innovative in its cross-platform, maybe.
Yeah, we got to shout that out. Yeah, that game looks like doo-doo dog shit.
Well, I love that all of the like big IP studios are like, all right, we need to do this. Nintendo's had their
let's make
they've
a
had a
freemium
racing one
kart
for
racer.
a while. Yeah, they've had a kart racer for a while, and then they just added the Smash ripoff, at the end of last year. So of course Disney had to get in on this. I'm surprised they're still licensing characters to Smash. Disney. Like I would love to see how that contract works.
Who are you talking about? Just Sora?
Just Sora.
So Sora's a weird IP like mess.
No, I know. It's
Why
almost
are
like
his
a
shoes so
Spider-Man.
big?
Why are his shoes so
I don't
big?
trust him. What?
The real question.
I don't trust someone with shoes that large.
Or Kyrie.
I would just love to see that the contracts keeping that in Smash Bros. Or like how much money Disney's making off that.
You say because like you'd think that Sora would be controlled by Square just because he's like an original character, but Disney's like, nope, anything in Kingdom Hearts is ours other than like your exact characters.
Yeah,
like Cloud and Sephiroth and Leon.
Is Sora in the Disney racing game?
I don't
thought I saw him in a commercial.
Was he there?
It's possible. They talk about how they're also gonna be
adding shit to it.
Well, yeah, it's a
adding shit and rolling
racer.
shit out.
You gotta add
exactly
new characters all the time for people to buy. It was a good direct.
Right, so
8.5 out of 10.
It is. And before we get the people saying like, oh, we're just
billing
riding shilling for Nintendo, we've got to come in and say the other big Nintendo news of the week. We just got to say it. Nintendo is not your friend. No matter what they try to market themselves as, they're just this friendly, your friendly neighborhood entertainment purveyors. They are not your friend. They are not in this for you. They're not in this for the say the art of the games and the history of these games.
I'd like to propose a brief moment
of
silence for the death of the Wii U and 3DS eShops. May they rest in peace.
Yeah, all right.
F's in the chat.
RIP
all the friends.
They rip in peace to the eShops. As of May 2023, they are
not accepting credit card payment anymore.
Yeah, they're going bye-bye. No, that's May. That's May of this.
Oh, sorry.
They're no longer doing the credit card stuff. And then August of this year, you no longer use the Nintendo eShop card to add funds. But then even then after March 2023, when the things go down, they are still saying it is possible to re-download games and DLC and receive updates to things you have already purchased, but you've got to buy before then. And this, of course, not really surprising stuff. The 3DS is 11 years old and the Wii U is, 10 years old. And these digital stores, they close all the time. That happens.
I think the saddest thing about it, honestly, is like for the 3DS is like, you look at it, the 3DS is basically killing a line of backwards compatibility that went all the way back to the original DS, because all DS titles upward could be played on 3DSs. So when the DS died for the DSi, the DS was still there. When the DSi died for the 3DS, you could still play your DSi and DS games on your 3DS. It was fine. When the new 3DS XL thing came out, like everything was still fine. And now they're finally killing it. And that's a lot of time. That's almost 20 years. When did the DS come out? 2003? 2004?
No, later than that. I think 07 is the DS. But I think it goes back even farther because I have a 3DS with a Game Boy Advance cartridge slot.
I mean,
the original DS
didn't even bring up the
or
fact
original
that they
3DS
left that cartridge slot on there.
Yeah, so and they left that on until like 2013 or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a huge, you know,
And it could
trend
play
in backwards
Game Boy Advance and
compatibility.
Game Boy Color games, original Game Boy games. Like that's
So I could play all the games that I've had since I was like, you know, 8 years old on my 3DS. Why I'll never
and now
get
if you
rid of
want to
it.
do that, you have to buy an analog pocket for $200. If you could buy it at that price, it's usually selling for $700 on eBay.
Jesus. So Matt, what would you say are like the biggest losses in the classic the classic legacy content?
So I mean, when you look at it, really the biggest losses all just come from the virtual console, because you're now going to be losing access to, for example, last year when Metroid Dread was coming out, there was a huge uptick in sales on the eShop on the Wii U and the 3DS for Metroid Fusion, because everyone wanted to play the game prior to Metroid Dread. So that's an example of what the types of games you're going to be losing out on are all of those previous titles that, you know, you could go onto the eShop and buy for $5 and, you know, own them forever and play them on your nice little Nintendo hardware.
It still works great.
Yeah, no, like
even being 10 years old.
I can't even single out maybe just for a couple off the top of my head. Golden Sun would, if you've got a 3DS, go buy Golden Sun. If you have a Wii U, go buy Golden Sun. They are games that you cannot buy physical. They're so much more expensive physical from collectors. You have like all of the Pokemon handheld games that you can get on the virtual consoles. Like, it's really hard when you look at that, like shutting all that down. I kicked myself for selling my 3DS years ago when the Switch came out, thinking that all of the 3DS content would come over to the Switch, because why wouldn't it? Because that's the logical evolution of, if you're going to be killing a handheld line for a new handheld line.
And that is, it had always been Nintendo's, you know, they had always deviated from like Xbox and the PlayStation in killing.
Yeah, the Wii had a GameCube slot on it.
Yep.
The Wii U could play Wii games.
The GameCube had a Game Boy Advance slot that you could purchase.
Yeah. There's just like it kind of puts a dash on the hope that the next new Nintendo console, not the Switch Pro or whatever, like the next new thing past the Switch, like you'd hope that it would still have a Switch slot on it, so you could still play Switch games, or the Switch cartridge style stays with it, because that's the format they stick with. But, you know, who knows now? Who knows if they want to support that?
According to Nintendo themselves, they have no obligation to preserve classic content.
What do you mean? They deleted that post. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, they that was on their like FAQ about it or whatever, and it's still there if you like on the archive, in the Internet Archive. But yeah, they deleted a question that I think was posed by actual good games journalist Gene Park. He's like the gaming correspondent for the Washington Post. The question was, once it is no longer possible to purchase software in Nintendo eShop on Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS family of systems, many classic games for past platforms will cease to be available for purchase anywhere. Will you make classic games available to own some other way? If not, then why? Doesn't Nintendo have an obligation to preserve its classic games by continually making them available for purchase? They had they had a response, but then the end was, we currently have no plans to offer classic content in any other ways other than the Switch Online subscription service, which again is not an actual ownership.
Yeah, no, they took away the ability
tenuous
to own
license
and download the games for $5, $2, $1.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
it's all streaming, depending on if you have an internet connection or not.
I mean, they're right though that they don't have any obligation to do anything with their copyright except what they see fit. So
they're not wrong. They're just assholes.
It sucks. Yeah.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, no, sure. Sure. I'm not saying that they're like breaking some even like a fiduciary responsibility to make those games. I'm not making that argument, but it's like, it is so egregious, particularly with how litigious Nintendo is about
copyright
efforts made to preserve their, their game history. Again, it's clear that Nintendo does not care about their games. They are willing to let the legacy content fade into oblivion and not let and go after anybody who tries to like create something like emulators or whatever to to simulate this gameplay.
There was this weird moment for me a couple years back when Nintendo was releasing, they were calling their classic consoles. They released the NES Classic and the SNES Classic, and they were releasing these, modern small versions of these old consoles with like 30 or 40 games on them. And I looked at that and it was like, okay, so it's not the greatest method of preservation, but if they're going to do that, they're going to release, once every 2 years, a new mini console of a legacy hardware with the best titles on it for like $50. It's like, that's not horrible. I can stomach that. I'll buy the two of them. They look nice. They play well on a modern mod hardware. But then they just kind of stopped doing that. Like they stopped at the SNES. They never gave us the Game Boy Classic. They never gave us the N64 Classic. The logical next step. It's kind of coincided with this Nintendo Online really like taking foothold.
Yeah, they just found a cheaper way to accomplish the same thing and make the same amount of money or more. But Ben, you brought up an interesting point of like they have no fiduciary duty to like continue these games. It would be interesting if there was like a shareholder suit on how arguing that moving to the streaming platform is actually less lucrative for the shareholders than if they were to
harmful to them.
Yeah, like you're losing money when there's you could potentially make more money by continuing the the Wii U e-store or even as Matt was saying, like putting out these the legacy hardware. I doubt it would ever happen or like go anywhere, but it's just like an interesting, I think, hypothetical of using the law as it currently is to help gamers game better.
So Nintendo got slammed by the Video Game History Foundation for this thing. Just this one line here: not providing commercial access is understandable, but preventing institutional work to preserve these titles on top of that is actively destructive to video game history, because they also not only do they go after like content creators and stuff, say like the 1,300 DMCA claims they filed against a single YouTube channel for putting out game soundtracks.
Yeah.
But not even doing that. It's like they pay millions of dollars to fund lobbying efforts that prevent libraries from even getting legal access to some of these games. It's insane. I don't understand it.
Well, it's our copyright.
Say, how is it not? But it's like, how is it not in their long-term benefit to preserve the say the bedrock of what made their company what it is?
I'll try to be an optimist here and try to look at things with a positive spin so that there's another thought process. But maybe all of this bad PR that they're getting from all of this is going to make them internally do some changes, because they don't always like that bad press to stick to them for very long. Sometimes they'll throw out the distraction card and be like, "Oh, look, new game. Stop talking about it." But maybe they'll internally change it up and be like, "Hey, you can get Switch Online and you get all the legacy games included, or you can go to the eShop and you can buy them for $2 a piece or something like that."
Who knows? Maybe it's like they're being tight-lipped about it because it's like, maybe they do have plans to roll it out in the future, and they're like, we're not gonna, because that is like, it goes back to the early part of our conversation. They don't get ahead of themselves in that way.
It's a possibility.
Okay, I mean, I see it. I potentially see that, but I don't know. I come down to Nintendo is not your friend.
Oh no, absolutely. Like right now, they are not doing themselves any favors. I'm just trying to look at a positive way of thinking about maybe this will be the catalyst that makes them think about it differently.
I will say though that in certain respects, video game companies are more responsive to consumer criticism than like any other industry. They're still not great at it, but like, in this episode, we have one example of, Horizon Forbidden West. They changed one thing for the better. And then, there was a even shittier thing after it that, a large percentage of 20 million people that bought the game were buying it for $10 more than it theoretically should have been.
Not the 20 million people, because that's the Zero Dawn sales numbers.
Yeah.
Zero Dawn was sold at the same prices across platform.
I thought the Forbidden West had 20 million as well.
No, that was the announcement.
If
for
Forbidden
Zero
West
Dawn.
had sold 20 million, that would be
Oh my
essentially
God.
100%
Oh my
attachment
God.
rate to every PS5 and a decent attachment rate to the PS4 player base.
No,
All
that
right,
would
so
be insane.
whatever
that
they're,
would be insane.
however many they sold. No, I swear, I'm gonna have
Still
to go.
a lot. They did. It was a good launch.
No, it was a good
No
launch,
doubt
but
about it.
I'm
It was
telling
a
you the 20 million
it was a
number was
successful
Zero
launch.
Dawn.
Okay,
Yeah, no, he's
the
correct
video
about
game
that.
journalists are worse than I thought, because I swear to God, in that Hogue Law article, when they were talking about the class action, they were throwing the 20 million, and maybe they were just like comparing it to Zero Dawn, and I'm an idiot, which is probably more likely. But regardless,
I mean, would 20
we've
million potentially be the number of money?
No,
Because
it was
20 million
it was number of
copies was
sales.
the Zero Dawn number, and 20 million copies is more than.
No, I think I just messed it up, and they were comparing, like saying if Zero Dawn sold 20 million, and the numbers of Forbidden West come close to that, using it as like an analogy. But I mean, I think the point still stands that the video game companies we've seen make little gestures to the consumer, more so than I think other companies do, but then they come and fucking backhand you anyways, and do something shitty after. So I kind of agree with Matt that maybe Nintendo will maybe extend the access to the Wii U store longer, or something like small virtue signaling gesture to the consumer that like, oh, we took your complaints to heart, and we want you to still have access to our wonderful games, blah blah blah, and like kind of have a little PR win. But then in the long term, they add NFTs to Mario or some shit like that.
It's one of those things that, like, you saw it in the chat yesterday. I sent those two lists of the Wii U and 3DS games. I was like, okay, let's look at these two catalogs real quick and see if there's anything that I should like go back out and purchase these two consoles to like reacquire so that I can play that game, for preservation's purpose. And I was looking at the Wii U, and the Wii U is essentially all been ported to the Switch at this point. Like every good Wii
well, that was
U
the easier
game,
one to port.
Yeah. Every good Wii U game is essentially on the Switch now, except for Xenoblade Chronicles X, RIP. Feels like we're never going to get it. Oh, well. But like, that's okay. The virtual console that you can access on the Wii U is nice, though, because you can play it on the TV. So that's probably, if I'm going to do it, I'm probably going to do that for that. But the 3DS, you look at the 3DS catalog, and then you look at just how impossible it would be for those to be ported over to the Switch, because you don't have that dual screen, which becomes so necessary for some of those games. Right. Unless they release, I mean, this would actually no. I'll say this, put it into the atmosphere so it becomes real, and then I'll hate it. Nintendo's totally gonna make a like second screen attachment that you slide your Joy-Cons into, and then that's how you emulate 3DS and DS titles on the TV. They're gonna give you like a second screen that you.
Or it's just going to be shitty like Brilliant Diamond and Pearl, where when you need to use that bottom screen feature, it's just like pops up into the top right hand corner of your main screen and just like takes up space for no reason.
I just know that Nintendo likes to sell, when they release their virtual console stuff, they like to sell controllers and stuff with it. And if they're going to release like DS titles on that, it's totally going to be a thing you slide your Joy-Cons into that's going to simulate the gamepad of the DS or the 3DS.
Of yesteryear.
All right. Well, so there was a lot actually going on, and I mean, so much happened these past 2 weeks. Like, we actually kind of skipped over a whole bunch of things, but I thought it was a good conversation. Any closing points?
Nintendo, if you're taking my ideas, I'm a designer.
Pay us for them, yes. All right, so it's plug time. We've already mentioned we stream every week over at twitch.tv/campaign_comrades. We do our weekly group streams most often on Fridays. By the time this comes out, we should hopefully have an upcoming stream on that Friday.
And the Monday before, if you're somehow a time traveler.
Exactly. Yes.
Or want to watch the VOD.
Come back. Yes, definitely. That's also worthwhile. But otherwise, check us out on Twitter at CampCompod. It's the best way to figure out or hear what we've got going on, what's going on. Oh, I think Matt has got a blog post coming out sometime soon on the Patreon, open to the public though for now.
But yeah, that was
Mike,
a fun.
do you have like a?
I'm pretty sure it's patreon.com/campaignComrades, no underscore.
Okay.
But you could find it from our Twitter. It's in the link tree.
Right. Yeah. So again,
We
that's
got an ETA when that's going up.
Whenever I finish editing it, or Ben.
We'll say hopefully by the time this episode is up. But yeah, I think that's it. Unless you guys got anything else of your own that you're looking to plug.
No,
I think that's it. All right, it's time for me to go back to playing more Forbidden West.
I haven't decided if I'm playing more Sifu
4 hours
and just
into
becoming a Kung Fu master, or if I'm gonna chill out and play some Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remastered.
Oh, that sounds fun. That sounds nice. All right, though. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.